Budapest, December 28th, 1903. A baby is born named János Neumann, and this kid grows up with a brain that feels just a little bit unfair, just like a little bit. Family and friends come over, and little János is doing things that sound absolutely fake. He's dividing huge numbers in his head, he's remembering pages like it's a camera, and people test him like it's a party trick. And guess what? He just wins every time. His family is wealthy, educated, plugged into high society. So instead of his talent going to waste, they feed it gasoline, tutors, books, languages, mathematics. And by the time he's a teenager, he isn't just good. He's a frickin' warning sign, baby! Because Europe is getting darker, the world is sliding toward chaos. And this kid is about to become one of the most influential minds of the 20th century without even realizing it. In the 1920s, he's bouncing through the elite academic world like it's a side quest. He studies in Budapest, Berlin, Zurich. He earns degrees in chemistry and mathematics because why not? And while other students are trying to pass, von Neumann is publishing research what makes older professors look around like, what the fuck? And then he hits quantum mechanics. At the time, quantum theory was new and messy. Von Neumann shows up and gives it structure. He builds a mathematical foundation for quantum mechanics using something called Hilbert spaces. Translation, he helps turn quantum physics from just vibes and experiments into something you can actually write, prove, and develop. And then in 1928, he drops something that looks harmless, a paper about parlor games, without even realizing that it later becomes the seat of game theory. The math of strategy, the logic behind bluffing, bargaining, war planning, markets, and eventually, modern AI decision-making. So, now he's already changed physics and economics, but he's not done. Not even close. In the 1930s, von Neumann moves to the United States. He ends up at Princeton's Institute for Advanced Study. This is the kind of place where you casually bump into Einstein in the hallway. And von Neumann becomes a legend there. People describe him as friendly, funny, social, but mostly he's fast. Terrifyingly fast. And that's exactly what the US military is looking for. And when World War II arrives, von Neumann gets drafted as a problem solver. Now we cut to the Manhattan Project. This was the top-secret US government program during World War II to develop the first atomic bombs, and von Neumann becomes one of the key people working on implosion. That's the technique where explosives compress material inward perfectly enough to trigger a nuclear chain reaction. Von Neumann helps solve parts of that puzzle with math and shockwave theory. He's also involved in blast calculations and later becomes a major voice in Cold War strategy. And this is where his story gets morally complicated. Hey, I unfortunately got sick, so I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little worse. I'm also sorry that you still create visuals manually. See, von Neumann was smart because he knew that people can't do everything efficiently ourselves. Sometimes things are just out of our skill reach or take too long. If you're an editor, this is where Hera comes into play, because you can create visuals by just using prompts, and things that would take hours in After Effects can now only take minutes. You can try it for free with the link in the pinned comment, and if you choose to upgrade using my link, you also get a 15% discount. I'm not sponsored, by the way, but I do get a referral if you choose to sign up and upgrade using my link. And it would honestly mean the world to me because I've never actually made any money like this before, and it would be super cool. Thank you. So, where were we? Oh yeah. And this is where his story gets morally complicated. Because for von Neumann, the bomb was just another physics problem. He approached the death of thousands with the same logic he used for game theory, and those calculations were becoming too complex for human brains. So, he shifts his focus to something that will later take over the world. Computers. In 1945, von Neumann writes a report about a computer called EDVAC, and inside that report is a concept so powerful that it becomes the default design for modern computers, the stored program computer. Meaning, instead of building a machine that can only do one task, you store the instructions in memory the same way you store data. That way you can change what you want the computer to do without having to adjust the hardware. Calculator, video games, TikTok, all the same hardware, but different instructions. This is why software exists as we know it, and this core design turned into what we call the von Neumann architecture, a CPU that processes instructions, memory that holds data plus program, input and output to interact with the world, and the basic rhythm of computing we know today. Fetch an instruction, figure out what it means, and make it happen. He captured the entire design in a 101-page document, and the architecture got named after him, even though other engineers and scientists were also working on similar stored program ideas. This architecture became the modern blueprint for computers we know today, but it has a problem, and that problem is called the von Neumann bottleneck. Because the CPU of the computers is separate from its memory, information has to constantly travel back and forth between them. That creates a massive digital traffic jam, and the computer ends up spending more time waiting for data than actually thinking. Even today, all the fancy upgrades in your laptop, like extra fast chips or graphics cards, are really just expensive shortcuts to get around that one traffic jam. Now, there was a rival design called the Harvard architecture that fixed this by using two separate lanes for the traffic, and it was even created 6 years earlier. But von Neumann's design was simpler and cheaper to build, so the world chose simplicity over speed. By the mid-1950s, von Neumann is everywhere. Physics, math, strategy, computing, and then he gets sick. Cancer. And it hits hard. The man who could outthink entire rooms can't outthink biology. He's hospitalized, guarded, because he knows too many classified things, and even in the final chapter of his life, the world treats his mind like a national resource. And in 1957, at only 53 years old, John von Neumann dies. And what he leaves behind is almost creepy, because the device you're using right now is, in a very real sense, running a descendant of his blueprint. If you'd like more videos like this, then a comment, like, or subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, take care of yourself, and bye-bye.